Alright, good evening ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the PSGL YouTube channel. It is the turn tonight of the F7 League to take centre stage for their pre-season race here at the Bahrain International Circuit situated in Sakhir. My name is Jake and I hope you are all having a fantastic evening tonight. Before we get started with the action, I just wanted to extend personally my best wishes to Haas driver Romain Grosjean, who had a horrifying crash in today's Bahrain Grand Prix and thankfully escaped with minor injuries. I'm sure we all wish him a very speedy recovery. Our focus tonight will be on this season's F7 Championship and sort of getting used to the contenders and how they're all stacking up ahead of the upcoming season, which starts next Sunday, 8 PM UK time at Australia. This is very much of a warm-up for that, and it'll be very interesting to see how everyone gets on. So before we get stuck into qualifying, which we will do very shortly, just going to get everything set up. Yeah, so before we get stuck into the nitty-gritty of qualifying, I'm going to first of all go through all the teams and drivers ahead of the season. Obviously we don't have everybody here tonight who's on the grid. We also have a couple of reserves, which I'll also mention, that are racing here this evening. So for Mercedes we've got by Mark 16 and Rowan. They're going to be driving for Mercedes. Rowan is here tonight, as you can see. Ferrari, we've got TV Sen and Morgan. Red Bull have Bryn and Tim Mats. Renault, once again, have the partnership of Game Freaker and Hulkenberger, a formidable partnership who won the Constructors last time out in F7. For McLaren, as Bryn has a massive moment as he starts his lap, so we'll quickly switch over to VRT Valken, who is one of the reserves, who is filling in for this evening. At Racing Point we have the very, very exciting duo of Jonas and Juice, the top two from last season's F7 Championship. They are going to be considerable threats once again. And Jonas is back in F7 to defend his title. At McLaren we have TRT James and Fleeks Furry Lando. For AlphaTauri we have Sam T and Bando Biz, nearly said that one wrong. For Alfa Romeo we have Free Gloves and Powdy. For Haas we have returning Ugi Azim, who only last season did Formula Performance League, but is back into the Equal Performance Leagues this season, and he'll be partnered by Tom AJ. And at Williams we have Felix and Frankie completing the grid, with the four reserves of Callum Anderson, VRT Valken, who are both racing this evening. I've also got Nick Mania 7 and Vapor Zero. So Valken looks like he's going to set the first lap time of this session, as Game Freaker does a 125.6 to go quickest, but is quickly dispatched by Valken in the other Renault on a 25.3. Let's follow Juice, as undoubtedly the quickest driver in F7 last year, or didn't actually compete in all the races, but was superbly fast, and very nearly took the championship, just being denied at the last by Jonas, who sealed it with a race to spare. And it's interesting to see those two partners, teammates this year. Obviously they know just how quick the pair of them are, so it'll be a formidable partnership, no question about it, as he goes fifth for the time being. We've now got Rowan, who looks like he's backed off his lap from what I can see. Yeah, he's lifted off, so he's backed off his lap. Bando Biz has invalidated his lap, so first lap times in. It's the two reserves competing tonight who have actually got the opening quickest lap times of the session, Valken and Callum. Game Freaker up in third, who got Free Gloves in fourth, with Juice in fifth, Sam T in sixth, Furry Lando in seventh, and Rowan eighth, but that wasn't really a representative lap time. I think he's going to go for another flying lap. But we'll follow Powdy round, someone last season who was up in the championship battle but never really competed that often for wins. It was often Powdy's consistency that saw him mixing it in with the top contenders. And if he can have another season like that, there's no reason to suggest that he can't have another stab at the title. He's in the Alfa Romeo this season. He was in the Renault last season, so it'll be quite a change for him this time around. And he's got Furry Lando in front of him, who gets out of the way nicely. Looked to have a couple of little moments on this lap, but nothing too bad so far. I'll keep an eye out on what Biz does, what Rowan does on their second flying lap. As Tim Matz joins, he had a power cut just before we went to the lobby, so he's managed to rejoin now, so he's into qualifying. And Powdy's opening lap time sees him go third on a 25.5. This league very much features some of us who didn't quite have the season they wanted in F6, the best of F7 and then the best of F8 all coming together. Of course, the big change in PSGL season 27 is that F7 is now the top Sunday tier. Last season we had F6 at the same time as F7, and it also means that F7 is the only Sunday league that is run at 8 PM UK time on a Sunday, so it's very much exclusive in that regard, and hopefully that means the drivers will get the exposure that they very much deserve. A couple of things to note. I know full well that Sam is running no assists this season, and is still very much in the phase of getting used to that. He suggested his qualifying pace isn't a problem. It's his race pace where he's still struggling for consistency somewhat. So that'll be something to keep our eye on. He was one of the top runners in PSGL F8 last season, finishing just shy of his teammate for that season and eventual championship winner Callum. So it'll be interesting to see how they make a step up here. And who have we got on our lap at the moment? It's just Powdy at the moment. I'm going to go on board though. I'm actually going to go on board with Sam now I've mentioned it. Although, is Callum close to beginning his lap? No, he's not. Just trying to pick up the person. Yeah, so we'll follow with Sam for a little bit in the AlphaTauri. Both AlphaTauris here for pre-season tonight. And just a quick little bit of a background for some of our drivers. Obviously, we're on board with Sam at the moment. He actually got 112 points in F8 last season. He was third in the championship in the end. Was a little bit disappointed with that, I think. I think he wanted to, he was definitely wanted to win the title, but he would have also hoped, I think, to have been a little bit closer towards the end of the season. He had 2 wins. Those came at Austria and Austin. He started all the races, and he actually had 7 podiums in total across the 14 starts that he had. So in half the races he took part in F7, he was on the podium, so suggests good momentum going into this season, and that's going to really be the key for those coming up from F8. It's all about continuing that momentum you had from last season, while those who maybe struggled a little bit in F6, their mission really is going to be to try and gain that confidence back that they may have lost during some of last season. Of course, as mentioned, we are racing at Melbourne next week for the season opener, very much a traditional season opener. And will be an interesting test for these drivers. Obviously a much different track to this one that we're racing at this evening. And following Sam is already 4 tenths up through Sector 1 on his previous lap. We've got a yellow flag for some reason down the pit straight. I don't know what that was all about. But Sam running pretty well through his lap so far. Turns it in nicely into the left-hander, and then this flat-out right kink. This is looking to be a very nice lap from Sam. Definitely backs up what he's saying in that his qualifying pace has not been the problem. This moving to no assist, it's just that consistency over a full race distance that's going to be the key that he needs to unlock. And he's running up to the line here, and what's this going to do for Sam? It's good enough to put him up to 3rd place on 25.5. Nice lap. I'm going to follow Furry Lando, who's also on a personal best lap. And he now takes 3rd place, so only 3rd for a matter of moments. And Callum's invalidated his lap, so he will not be improving. Who do I want to have a look at now? We've got Game Freaker just coming up to the end of Sector 2 then. He was probably the 4th of the 4 title contenders we had in F7 last season. In the end, he ultimately finished 2nd place in the championship, I believe. Just check my notes on that one. Yeah, he did finish second in championship. He actually edged out Juice in the end, despite Juice's quite a ridiculous pace at times. He only actually took 3 wins last season, but only had 4 podiums, so he was very good at collecting wins, but maybe less so on the really consistent podium results. But with that lap, he's gone up to what was 4th, but now becomes 5th as Tim Mats pops it into 3rd on a 25.3, and you can see already just how close it's going to be in F7 this season. Very little separating the top drivers. And now Juice is coming up to a line. What's this lap going to do for him? It's good enough for only 9th at the moment. I say only 9th. He's only 3 tenths off pole as Balkan now improves to a 25.2. Very nice lap indeed. Just trying to find... We've got Tom AJ on a lap. In terms of Tom AJ, he's another driver who's been promoted from F8 last season. He finished 5th in the F8 Championship last time out. He actually started all the races, but didn't actually collect any wins. Had a few podiums though. And he's certainly a driver I've come across in the past, and he's always very, very consistent. Very much a Powdy type driver, I would suggest. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on here. Maybe one of the lesser known names that came up from F8, but I think he'll be very, very threatening during the races. And as you can see already, there's some very close lap times out there. I'm just trying to see if there's anyone out on a lap at the moment. I think most people have done their second runs, although Rowan looks like he's still pushing on, so we'll see what he can do in a Mercedes. He was in F7 last season and had a fairly unspectacular time of it, I have to say. He was 8th in the championship with just 48 points, so with races where he showed a lot of promise, a lot of pace, but it just never seemed to quite work out too well for him. He had 2 podiums, 2 third places, and he'll be just hoping, I think, for a more consistent season. That was probably the one thing he would have argued was lacking last time round. He goes to 11th place at the moment on a 25.7, and wow, I mean, if this qualifying session's anything to go by, this league is going to be super close. Obviously, we've got some big names that aren't even here this evening. The likes of Felix, who was a very decent contender in F6 last season, finished 4th in the championship. And then there's also Morgan, who's yet to do a lap time. And Jonas, who's actually retired from the session. I don't know if he crashed out on track or not, but obviously he's the reigning F7 champion, so ultimately he's going to be a considerable threat. He'll want to defend that title, that's no question about it. And we've got Callum Anderson out on a lap, the F8 champion from season 26. Only a reserve for F7 at the moment, which is a little bit of a shame. I would have liked to have seen him racing full-time in the league. I think he'd be a great addition to what's already looking like an insanely competitive league. And you can already see on this lap, he's absolutely flying. And he could be about to lower the benchmark set by Valken. As he goes round the final corner now then. What's Callum going to do across the line? Is he going to be the first man into the 24s? Yes, he is. A 24.899. And that's a great effort from Callum there. And that's going to take some beating. That's thrown down the gauntlet to everybody else. And there's only actually one person out on track at the moment. So Callum's opted to get his final run of qualifying in quite early on, because I don't think he's going to get back in time to do another run. But nevertheless, that's going to take some beating. So he might not need to come out again. And like I say, with that sort of pace, it really is a shame that he decided to only be a reserve for this season. We've only got Tom AJ. And we've also got Tim Mats out on a lap. I don't know why it didn't come up, but he was on an out lap before. But I'll follow him round. He has actually got... Oh, and he's warming up his tyres, so I think he's on an out lap. I don't know why. I think it's because he joined through qualifying, but it's almost suggested that he's on a lap, which he isn't. And for some reason Morgan in the pits has opted to go on inters. So I don't think we're going to be seeing much of him in qualifying. Reckoned by some in the F7 paddock to be a potential dark horse in this league. So maybe wanting to keep his cards close to his chest ahead of a race. And in fact, yeah, he has opted to retire from the session, so we won't be seeing anything from Johnny or Morgan for the rest of his session. And now we're going to follow Tom AJ around, see what he can do. He's probably the only one, I would say, that hasn't done a competitive lap on the soft tyres yet. Back on a 127, that isn't representative of his pace. And he'll be the first one at the end of qualifying to really go for it. Bahrain will be the next one on his lap, as will Tim Matz and the other Red Bull, so I'll keep an eye on those two. We're sector 2 now then. This is definitely looking like a big improvement for Tom AJ. Is it going to be enough to moving into the top 10 perhaps? Tom brakes for the final turn, small lock up on the front right tyre, but he now runs towards the line. What can Tom do here? He goes up to 12th on a 25.8. He might be a little bit disappointed with that. We've got Tim Matz approaching the line now. He's got Brincht in front of him. It doesn't look like he's pushing. And we actually got Game Freaker, who has crashed out. So Game Freaker's qualifying has ended there. Bryn and Tim Matz do not improve, so that is their qualifying over. Just trying to find who have we got furthest into their lap at the moment. We've got Valken, so I'm going to follow Valken round now through Sector 2. He's already a 10th upward of Sector 1, so looking pretty solid so far. Oh, and he's going very quickly here. Is Callum about to have pole position snatched from him? A little bit squirrely on the exit there. May cost him a little bit of time, and it's going to be fractions here, I think, separating the pair of them. Checker flag is out, so if you're on a lap, you can complete it. Valken runs to the line. Is it going to be good enough for pole position? Yes, it is. A great lap from Valken, a 24.8. Edges out Callum Anderson by the smallest of margins. Got Free Gloves, who's improving by almost 4/10 of a second coming into the final sector. Going to keep an eye on to see who's going to complete their laps. I think we might have a Haas just in front. That might be Tom Ajeva returning to the pits, unless he's gone for another lap, which I don't think he has. No, so this is it for Free Gloves. He was 10th. He moves up to 3rd. Great lap from him. And I'm going to follow Rowan now. It's actually quite a decent way into his lap. Juice has finished his lap, so that's a bit of a surprise. Actually, we've got Ferrari Lando then in the McLaren, unsurprisingly. Runs to the line. That's good enough for 4th place for Ferrari Lando. Powdy moves up to 5th. And I think Rowan might be the last one left here. He's 4/10 sub. Quite surprisingly, Juice only 10th. I would have expected a bit more from him in his qualifying session, but for one reason or another, it just hasn't happened. And I have to say, oh, is Rowan's backed off here for reasons I'm not entirely sure of. Maybe he wants to start 11th and get that fresh choice of tyres. That might be what he's doing. Juice might have tried to do the same, actually, because the tyre wear around here is pretty severe. But ultimately, it's Valken and Callum who lock out the front row. 2 of the F7 reserves for this season. Free Gloves takes 3rd. So it's really the class of F8 who have really shone in this qualifying session. We've got Ferrari Lando in 4th. He, again, another person from F8 really showing the strength of F8 last season. Powdy 5th, Tim Matz in 6th, Game Freaker 7th, Sam 8th, Bryn 9th, Juice 10th, Rowan is 11th, Tom is 12th, Bando Biz is 13th, and then Jonis and Morgan opted not to do lap times in the end. So congratulations to Valken. That was a great effort there to take pole position. Valken actually raced in F6 last season, got a second place at Vietnam, so that'll be a major confidence boost for him getting pole position. Free Gloves up in third. Good performance from him. Furlando as well. Powdy as well. I would say that's a good performance from him. Not usually, Powdy not really known for his qualifying performances usually, so that's a good effort. We've got Sam up in 8th. A Juice, I think we'll see a lot more from in the race, down in 10th. And then we've got Jonathan Morgan, who might be ones to look out for at the back, who opted not to do lap times. Obviously, I suspect a lot of the drivers outside the top 10 will want to start on the alternate strategy. It is probably the way to go around here. And the race is upon us. Furlando's left the session, so he'll have time chance to rejoin, thankfully. With that glitch having been fixed now, so he's able to do that. And it will not be long till the drivers are out on their formation laps, getting ready for the start. It looks like we've lost another person. Is that TNR Jonis I can't see there? I don't know what's happened to him. I don't know if he'll appear on the grid. Hopefully he will. Oh no, Jonis is on the grid, so that's thankful. I was worried there we weren't going to have him on the grid, but he is, and we've got 15 drivers, and hopefully Furlander can rejoin as soon as possible as the drivers get set on their formation lap. Let's have a look at the tyres. Yeah, so as expected, all the drivers outside the top 10 have opted not to start on softs. In fact, Tom and Morgan have gone for the hard compound tyres. Rowan, Bando Biz and TNR Jonis have opted to start on mediums. And it's going to be a real test for these drivers here. Getting back into the swing of things after a few weeks off. And it's really going to be about setting a benchmark ahead of a new season. Who's looking good and who maybe has some work to do before Melbourne. 29 laps in front of us. In terms of the tyres, of course, we have a C4, C3 and C2 tyres here at Bahrain. The usually expect 10 laps out of soft tyres, although that can be questionable at times. The hard tyres really only last 18 laps, and the medium's about 14, so really the medium to hard or hard to medium strategy is probably the way to go here. You could probably maybe risk hard to soft if you're good on your tyres. But optimally, I just don't think the soft tyre is a terribly great race tyre here, and that will play into the hands of those outside the top 10. Which might explain why a few drivers opted not to do laps. Hello Rotation, welcome to the stream. Hope you enjoy the race we got in front of us. And Callum is in an absolute rush to get to the grid, whereas Valken isn't, so the drivers will be lining up. Furlando has rejoined, I believe, so he should be back in control of his car now, all being well. And the 5 lights will be set out in front of the drivers very shortly as they begin to line up. Still doesn't look like Furlando's in control of his car, but he has rejoined the lobby, so fingers crossed that sorts itself out. Oh, he's left again. That's not good. Alright, we go then. When the lights stop illuminating, it's time for action here at Bahrain. It's looked like a very good start from Valken. Callum caught napping slightly, and Valken takes the lead. We've got an Alfa Romeo. I think that's Free Gloves trying to make his way down the inside. Is he managed to do it? Yes, he is. Is he going to be able to hold it on? Actually, Valken went wide at turn 1. A bit of rustiness there, and that's handed Callum the lead. And that's moved Free Gloves alongside the Renault driver. Further behind, we've got the other Alfa Romeo and Renault side by side as Game Freaker and Powdy do battle. But that was ultimately, it looked like Valken had that covered, but then he just ran too deep into turn 1. Rowan is already out of the race. So Rowan has crashed out already. And looking at that, that's just coming out of turn 3, I believe that is. So that's not a good start for him. But no safety car as of yet, which is a little bit surprising, I have to admit. And Callum then takes the lead. Free Gloves up into 3rd place. A good start from him. Powdy up into 4th. So it's a very good start for the Alfa Romeo duo, who are a partnership this season and could be a very strong one at that. But exactly the start Callum wanted, and Valken will be looking to make up time. But he's already gone wide again, so he did a great qualifying lap, did Valken, but it looks like he's struggling a little bit here in the race. And he's already going to be coming under pressure as we've got Tim Mats making a move on Game Freaker and moving up into 5th place. So good stuff from him. And in fact, Game Freaker now goes move back, quite an aggressive move to the inside there, not giving the opportunity for the Red Bull to fight back. And have we got 2 Alfa Romeos going side by side? That's not who I wanted to see, thank you, game. But Callum's still leading the way and doing a very solid job up front. Both Alfa Romeos very close to each other right now, and Game Freaker managed to regain that 5th place that he lost. And Bryn is in the pit, so I wonder if there was damage on that Red Bull. It would not surprise me. Quite easily done round here. Wonder if it was him that maybe had some contact with Rowan further down. But yeah, Callum's still very much leading the way right now. And was that a small walk-up? Oh, and look at that, it looks like he's gone wide there. So it looks like there was a bit of a mistake from Powdy, and that's allowed Game Freaker to move past. And also further behind, we've got Sam and Tim Mats doing battle alongside each other. Is Tim Mats going to give Sam the space? Yes, he is. Sam's going to try and hang it all the way around this fast, flat-out right-hander. They give each other space. That's sensational racing. They're still alongside each other. Neither one of them wants to give this up, but it's fair stuff all the way. And who's going to be latest on the brakes here? Is either one of them going to give way? It looks like Tim Mats slightly later, more brave on the brakes. And that's going to allow him to just stay ahead for now. But look how close it's going to be down the next straight. And we've got Juice joining in. We've got 3 wide here down the main straight. And who's going to get the position down to turn 1? It's going to be Juice who's actually going to pass both of them. That's a sensational effort from Juice. He just took advantage of those 2 fighting among themselves. They're still alongside each other. These 2 will not stop battling for all it's worth. And who's eventually going to get the job done? It looks like Sam. Is he? No, he's still going to give in the room, and that's going to allow his teammate Bando Biz to get involved as well. They've been side by side for pretty much half a lap here. I can't believe what I'm seeing. This is sensational racing. Who's going to blink first? I don't know how they're still alongside each other. Neither one of them gives this up, and neither one of them is running the other out of room, which is fantastic to see. They're locking up under braking there, Sam. And I believe, I still don't think this has been decided, you know. This is absolutely incredible. They've pretty much been side by side now for a full lap, and there's still nothing to separate them. Sam and Tim Mats. Who's actually going to come out on top here? I have no idea. Tim Mats ran slightly wide there, and there was a bit of contact between. Yes, there is. Oh, and there was contact further behind between Bando Biz and Tim Mats, and that meant Tim Mats had to arrest the slide and ultimately lost out there. So the AlphaTauris eventually win out in that battle. But I have to say, massive credit to Sam and Tim Mats there. That was sensational racing side by side for an entire lap. And meanwhile at the front, we've got Valken and Callum going side by side for the race lead. And they're also going to continue this battle up towards turn 3. Who's going to be later on the brakes here? It's going to be Callum who's going to take the line. Can Valken make the switchback work for him? No, he can't. He's going to have to stick behind for now, but he's right there on the gearbox of the Mercedes. And it looks like Callum for now though has kept the lead despite Valken's best efforts, and Free Gloves is right there as well, and a few gaps opening up, particularly behind Juice, because obviously Sam and Tim Mats, as great as it was to watch them battle like that, it did cost them a heap of time. And it's going to be interesting to see some of the teammate dynamics here. There's a lot of teammates quite close on track. Sam and Bando close together, Free Gloves and Powdy. And it's going to be interesting to see how that works out for them. I don't think Jonas... Is Jonas actually in the lobby? I want to check this out, because... No, I think he's... No, so Jonas... I think Jonas is out the race, unfortunately. And if he disconnected or something like that, Valken's already picked up a penalty, which is not going to be conducive to his end result here. Of course, it might be pre-season, but you know these drivers will want to win as much as possible. Winning can only be good for the confidence levels. And on board here with Free Gloves, who's quietly gone about his business, but has really brought himself into contention here. He's pulled away somewhat from Game Freaker. And he just needs to stay quite patient behind his top two, as Valken has a massive moment. Oh, and so does, actually, almost in sympathy, so does Free Gloves, but it's Morgan who went round. That's the reason for the yellow flag. Morgan spun round. I think he avoided contact with a barrier, judging by his front wing. I think he's got away with it, but he's lost an awful lot of time and drops near to the back of the field. So not the race Morgan would have been hoping for so far. He was one of only two drivers to elect to start on hards. The other one, Tom AJ, is working actually really well for us. Bando Biz has gone off the road. Don't know if that was contact with another driver or what, but Bando Biz has dropped down the field. Now, just saying that Tom AJ is really making us hard ties work for him. He's now up to 8th place and right behind Sam, who at this stage of the race just seems to be lacking a little bit for pace. Obviously, I mentioned earlier that he is running no assists right now, and he is going through very much the phase of working all that out and getting used to it. We've got a yellow flag in sector 2. That's Morgan, who is very, very slow. I don't know what's happened to him there. And look at this, we've got Tom AJ in the slipstream, and it's looking like it's going to be a simple overtake. Under braking for turn 1, yes it is. Powdy as well has made a move on Game Freaker. He's up to 4th place. And you can see there Sam just straggling around for traction a little bit there. But I have to say, this is not what I expected from last season. We really got an idea for what some of the competitive field was in F7 last season. And, well, this pre-season race is so far teaching me that really it could be completely different this time around. Morgan has decided to call it there. He is out of the race. So we're down now to 12 drivers, because Jonas as well is no longer racing. But the top 3 still just over a second away, clear of Powdy, who has still got Game Freaker right behind him. Juice running kind of a race of his own right now in 6th. But he's definitely not one to be underestimated. And we've got Valken, the only one to pick up a penalty so far, but that's not going to stop him setting his sights on getting back the lead of a race. He's not got much ERS to spare. Callum's been a little bit more proficient with the ERS saving. And he's still using overtake, so he's determined to make the move stickers. We've got Powdy, Game Freaker and Juice, all the 4th, 5th and 6th, all deciding to make an early stop, potentially going for the undercut here as Valken makes the move down the inside of Callum, and Callum doesn't have a response to that right now. But I have to say, Valken's really draining his ERS usage, and that could bite him later on in the race, but he's got the lead for now. And interestingly, Powdy and Game Freaker have gone for mediums. Juice has gone for the hard compound tyre, so bit of variance in strategy there. And interesting to see if they do manage to get the undercut on these top 3 here, especially if they keep battling the way they are. Furry Lando's back in the lobby, I believe, now, which is great to see, and he's battling away with Tim Mats for P6 on the road right now. But Tom AJ, I have to say, that hard tyre is working beautifully for him right now. The stint he's having is really, really stellar. And it could really help him out later on when he'll probably be on faster tyres compared to a lot of those around him. I'm interested to see, do all the top three respond this lap to what the guys behind them have done? I suspect they very may well do that, because you know the undercut round here is quite powerful with the fresh tyres, and they don't look to have much traffic either. So yeah, Valken pits, Callum carries on, but Free Gloves also pits. So Callum deciding he doesn't want the undercut, he maybe wants to run a little bit deeper into the race and open up a few more strategy options later on. Valken goes for the hard compound tyre, Free Gloves also goes for hard, so also a bit of variance there too. Some people going for hard, some people going for mediums for their second stint. And where are these two going to feed out? That's going to be the key. Are they going to be leapfrogged by those behind them? It's going to be very close. It looks like the one who's lost out is Free Gloves. It is indeed, because Powdy and Game Freaker have both leapfrogged Free Gloves, but Valken just rejoins in front of all of them. So that works out quite beautifully for Valken, really, but Free Gloves is the main one who was lost out there because of that. And it'll be interesting to see what Powdy and Game Freaker do now, because they are theoretically on the faster tyres at this stage of the race. Meanwhile, back at the front, Callum still with a 6-second lead over Tom, who is just lapping very, very solidly right now. And you would expect Callum to pit this lap, but how much will he have lost just by staying out that extra lap? He's using his overtake, which is suggesting that he knows that he could very well be vulnerable here, and he's trying to make the very most of it. But you can see with the time he's losing to Tom behind him, he just hasn't got the pace on those tyres anymore. He pits this lap. But how much damage will have been done there? We'll go on board with Valken. So I'm interested to see where Callum rejoins. With how close all these drivers are, it's going to be very interesting. Sam and Ferry Lando also pit. Callum goes onto the hard tyres. Maybe trying to make a one-stopper work, but here we go then. Well, Callum's not really that close, I've got to be honest. He's going to rejoin right at the back of his pack, yeah, so that's not worked out at all well for Callum. He's right behind both Renaults and both Alfa Romeos. So just by staying out that extra lap, he's gone from provisionally what was the race lead to what is provisionally now P5. So it just shows how much he's lost. And we've got a yellow flag out. What's that for? Sam has had an off moment just after making his first pit stop, and that's unfortunately popped him right to the back of the pack. I don't think he just had a spin. I don't think he's got any damage, thankfully, so he can still carry on. And now with Powdy, and he'll be looking to try and make a move on Valken sooner rather than later. This really is now the theoretical battle for the lead. And some names, some very familiar names up there, as well as some slightly different names too. It's going to be an interesting, really, run to the end, because we've got so many different strategies going on, and you just wonder how it's going to play out for each of the drivers. Callum may have lost track position, staying out that a little bit longer, but will the freshness of the tyres towards the end pay dividends for him? Is that... Oh, we're side by side here further down the field. We've got Ferry Lando and Bryn. Oh, and there's a bit of squeezing going on there. Gets quite aggressive down to the braking zone. Who's going to be braver through the next kink? Oh, and pushed a little bit wide there is Bryn, but he's going to keep going with it. He's still in overtake mode. He really wants to fight back here against the McLaren, looking for the inside line. There didn't really look to be room there, but he managed to make room for himself. Ferry Lando determined not to give up a position just yet. They're going to go side by side through the next few corners. This fast chicane, fair play to the pair of them. Looks like a bit of lag on Ferry Lando, unfortunately, but looks like Bryn has made the move down the inside. Very nicely done. So Bryn up into the final points paying position at the moment. And that was a pretty well worked move in the end, because It was very fiercely fought between the pair of them. Look how much ERS though Furry Lando has. I'm a bit confused as to why he's not using it, to be honest, but it doesn't matter anyway because he gets the position straight back again. So looks like this pair are going to be fighting for some time to come. Oh, and Bryn tries to come back through the next corner. That's definitely not the track. And almost making new lines between the pair of them, and I've got to be honest, that penalty there was kind of inevitable for Bryn, but he's not giving the place up, and the pair of them really going at each other right now. Callum struggling a little bit on those new hard tyres, it has to be said. He's dropped back somewhat from the group in front of him, and he's actually falling into the clutches of Juice behind, so just shows how quickly that one can change. And look at this, the pair of them, Furry Lando now back in front as Callum actually now picks up a penalty. Oh, and look at that! Bryn fighting back, goes off the circuit to go up the inside. I'm not entirely sure how legal that was, but Furry Lando did not want to give in the inside line, but you know, Bryn thought, screw it, I'll just have a bit of the off-road as well, just to make my moves work. Furry Lando back up the inside, here we are, this is incredible fighting. You wouldn't think this is for the P10, the way they're going at it. It just shows that the shackles are off, it's pre-season and they really want to go for it. Oh, and that's a brave move down round turn 10 there. And Bryn keeps it in the end. Lando looked at making the move back, but there just wasn't enough room. They're still going at each other. They're determined, the pair of them, not to give this one up. Oh, and look at this, right down the inside. Well, Bryn almost opened the door there, maybe looking for the switchback, but as Bando Biz pits, and I'm going to quickly keep an eye out on that one. He did a good stint on the mediums. He's now going to go to the hards, and I tell you what, he's on a pretty good strategy there, is Bando Biz. He's going to rejoin quite far down, but that could work out pretty well for him later on down the line. The only issue he's going to have is he's going to rejoin just behind this titanic duel between Bryn and Furry Lando, which is probably not going to be great for him in terms of not losing too much time, but he can join in their fun anyways. They continue to go side by side. We've got Powdy now up into second place, so he's managed to make a move on Valken and is now in the provisional lead of this race. I have to say though, Tom AJ's stint on those hard tyres could really bring him into play when he does pit. You're probably looking to pit around lap 16, lap 17 for mediums, would be my guess. And it's just working out pretty nicely for him right now. Well, fair play to Powdy. He didn't have a single win in F7 last season, but he's staking his claim here to be a real contender. Obviously on those medium tyres though, it's going to take some real tyre saving if he wants to go to the end on them. It's likely he will have to stop again. So what can Powdy do here? Is he probably needs ideally to start pulling away from the two Renaults a bit, but he's unable to do that right now. Further down we've got Juice. Potentially I thought was going to have a look at Callum, but not quite close enough into the braking zone. I mean, I just want to go back to this battle. This is incredible stuff. Is Bryn about to go for it again? No, he's not. And I wonder now if our approach will change now that we've got another contender joining this scrap. It's it's easy to fight two abreast, but when you've suddenly got a third member of a battle, it's not so easy. And Callum, what's happened to Callum? Callum suddenly dropped down. So I don't know if he's had a mistake somewhere, but he's dropped a lot of places. He was just... Oh, and look at him, he's really struggling now. So something not right there at all. But Callum, who was up in 6th place, is now dropped down. Oh, and now he's into the wall! That's a major accident! And Callum is out of the race. He's opted to retire. There's a safety car out. And, well, that's just a bizarre few corners for Callum. He was running really well on the opening stint of a race, but never looked happy on those hard compound tyres. Tom pits. And does that work out well for him? I'm not too sure. It's He's going to go on to mediums, I'd imagine. He probably can get us to the end now, so that might not work out too badly for Tom. Powdy, Valken all pit. Game Freaker and Free Gloves stay out. Obviously, they probably had no choice in the end. It was either that or Q behind their teammates. And what a bizarre end to the race that was for Callum there, but it really has turned this race upside down. This safety car really has changed things. And what will Game Freaker and Free Gloves do now, I wonder? Surely Game Freaker will pit next lap, I would imagine, but there's an opportunity for Free Gloves to get to the end on those tyres, and maybe Game Freaker's thinking he can stretch it out as well. I mean, of course, in pre-season, you're probably more liable to take a few more risks, because you know that there's maybe less to lose. Meanwhile, further down, Bando Biz as well. Bando Biz, who just pitted, is now pitted again. So that hasn't worked out too brilliantly for him, but he's going to rejoin the back of a pack, and the only two drivers who haven't stopped are Game Freaker and Free Gloves. Everyone else has stopped for brand new medium tyres. You kind of ignore Jonas on the bottom. He disconnected quite a while ago. So yeah, this is going to be interesting now to see what Game Freak and Free Gloves do. Like I said, they were very much screwed over by the fact that their teammates had first call on pit stops. And that effectively means now that Tom AJ is your race leader, so to speak, because he could definitely go to the end on those tyres. And I tell you what, that safety car worked out beautifully for him. That hard tyre stint really came into use, and it just shows how things can really work out for you sometimes. In terms of penalties, just 2 3-second penalties for Valken and Bryn right now. I'm just going to see, so you can see already 2 stops. Position changed off the start. Tom AJ is the main beneficiary, gained 9 places. Game Freaker and Free Gloves opt to stay out. So that's going to be interesting. I'm firmly of the belief here that Free Gloves could get to the end on those tyres, but I very much doubt that Game Freaker can. So this is a really interesting one now. Of course, there is the opportunity later on for another safety car. That maybe could be the blessing that Game Freaker needs, but we've got all the cars now behind the safety car, pretty much, so I suspect we'll see the safety car in at the end of this lap. Just over half distance here at Bahrain. Oh, and Bando Biz has just got a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flag. Now that's the sort of penalty that would most likely get removed if this was an actual season race, which of course it isn't. I do think without question though that those drivers that aren't unfortunately able to race tonight are at a disadvantage going to Melbourne, because even just a few weeks off racing, I mean, some drivers obviously have other league races that they do, but just having that first few seconds, what on earth is happening here? Bryn is round. Bryn's had a moment, there's damage to his front wing, and he's left for session, so there was contact there with Bando Biz, I believe. And has Bando Biz got another penalty? Yeah, he has. He's up to 10 seconds worth of penalties now, and Bryn's on 8 seconds, but obviously he's left, so some shenanigans, unfortunately, behind the safety car. And if we go now back to the front, where Game Freaker now becomes the effective safety car, and it's up to him now where he chooses to bolt. And he's gone. He's absolutely gone. That was a very eager getaway there from Game Freaker. Wanted to catch cars behind him out. That wasn't a great exit though from that corner, I believe. And Tom AJ is right behind the Free Gloves. And I tell you what, Game Freaker's not too far away either. So Tom really has had the ideal restart here. We've got drivers trying to warm up their tyres, weirdly, down the straight. But here goes Tom AJ down the inside. But Free Gloves a little bit later on the brakes, a little bit braver at that as well. But he's going to try and come back at him down the next straight. Can Tom AJ get second place? It really would do him a lot of good if he could. Free Gloves going for the up and under, but it looks like Tom's got the better traction and Tom takes P2. That's exactly the restart he would have wanted, and exactly the restart Free Gloves wouldn't have wanted. He knows on those hard tyres he needs to do what he can. Valken having a little bit of a look at Powdy, but opting better of it in the end. This is a corner where it's quite easily to clip the car in front of you if you're not too careful. So we saw that in real life F2 today with Callum Ilott attempting to avoid Mick Schumacher and going into Jehan Deruvala, unfortunately ending his race. But look at this, we've got Valken now having another look at Free Gloves, and it looks like he has. So that's a great move there around the outside from Valken. He needs to be a bit careful, he doesn't want to be too eager, bite off more than he can chew, but he was having a look at the other Alfa Romeo Powdy. But look at Free Gloves, he's just got no pace on those hard compound tyres at the restart, maybe taking just a little bit longer to warm up, and that's really affected him. And I get a feeling he's going to be sitting duck to Juice now as well, potentially. Not quite on this occasion. See Tim Matz having a quick look under braking, but he's got to be a bit careful himself, I believe, with Ferry Lando behind him. Ferry Lando's now disconnected, so that's not too ideal. We're on board now with Powdy, and yeah, things looking pretty good at the moment for the top three. But Game Freak is the one really who's under pressure because he didn't manage to pit under the safety car, and as a result, it really means now Tom and Powdy are in the box seat. Valken maybe as well, but of course he does have a penalty. And now coming up to this really good right-hander. It's an opportunity to overtake if you're close enough to the car in front. I have no idea why the interval gaps have disappeared. It's a little bit frustrating, but you can see the top four are all very close together on the track. And you're getting to that point now in the probably next 5 laps where Game Freaker will start to lose his tyres. It's going to be a real mission for Game Freaker to try and keep these drivers behind him. Going to go on board. There we go. Got some telemetry finally. Valken has got a really good run on Powdy. Is he going to make a move down the inside? Yes, he is. Valken's got the inside line. Powdy gives him the space. And very nicely done around the outside, I have to say. Valken there. Great respect between the pair of them. Juice has passed Free Gloves now as well and up into 5th. But nicely done, and Tom AJ as well now right on the back of Game Freaker. He knows he doesn't need to rush anything, although he also will be slightly worried about the Renault behind him. But for someone who didn't win a race in F8 last season, he'll be amazed that really this is sort of a golden opportunity for him to take the win in F7 pre-season. Game Freaker will defend it, no doubt. Of course, him and Valken aren't actually teammates going into the season. Valken is one of the reserves. Game Freaker and Hulkenberger, almost a legendary combination now. And here goes Tom, much better exit, and I don't think there's much Game Freaker can do here. Tom's going to go down the inside, they give each other the room, but Tom gets a better run out the corner. Who's going to have the DRS? That's going to be key. Well, I don't think DRS is even available yet. Oh my goodness me, what's going on behind? Doesn't like either of them DRS, but here comes Powdy. And Valken now going for it as well, and it looks like Tom, from looking like he was going to take the lead, is actually going to lose a place, and there's a bit of contact between him and Valken, and Powdy's now going to capitalise as well, and Juice, out of nowhere, is going to make it 3 wide. This is brave stuff here. And Juice is going to potentially move up to 3rd here. Tom is losing positions left, right and centre. Juice has really capitalised on this. Powdy has dropped further behind. The 2 Renaults have almost gone now, but Juice has made the move stick and is up into 3rd place. That's a great move. Really opportunistic, going in the middle of the 2 cars and making the move stick where some would have thought it would be better to back out. Really clean, good competitive stuff here. And Juice starting to show some of what made him such a big threat in F7 last season, as he moves up into third place. Two Renos though pulled a bit of a gap there thanks to the battling, and Valken has a real opportunity here to get the lead off Game Freaker and then almost try and make a run for it here, which he'll need to do with that penalty. Got Tim Matz, I believe, who's about to have a go at Free Gloves, not quite. Game Freak has now got a penalty as well, as Falcon looks to make the move down the straight. The two Renaults going side by side for the lead of this Bahrain Grand Prix here in F7 pre-season. Very much kicking us off with a bang, and Falcon goes down the inside. Nothing Game Freaker can do on those older medium tyres, and Falcon takes the lead of a race. And now it is his opportunity to very much scarper. Juice has lost third place back though, and he could be about to lose fourth as well. So Juice did not keep third for very long. Tom has got third place back, and Powdy pushed wide. So Juice pushed wide there a little bit by Powdy, and Powdy takes fourth place. The gloves are very much off here tonight. And Juice going back around the outside. That's some late braking. That's some brave braking actually around the outside, and he's made the place stick. That's a sensational way to get P4 back. And I have to say, I thought he broke too late there, but he made it stick beautifully. And Juice retakes fourth place, and Tom can now set his sights on Game Freaker again and hope for his sake, but it goes a lot better than his last attempt. He does not want to be in a position where he's under pressure again. You can see already Valken's gained a 1 second lead on Game Freaker as he attempts to pull away. He'll see that opportunity there to get the victory. Tom will see that opportunity to win disappearing down the road as Game Freaker now pits. So that obstacle Game Freaker's been removed. He's actually got a penalty for speeding in the pit lane, so that's not worked out at all well for Game Freaker. So yeah, he's going to go on soft tyres now, but that 5 second penalty for speeding in the pit lane will ultimately really ruin his pit stop, and it will make his recovery mission even more difficult. And his decision not to pit under the safety car is starting to come back to bite him, I suspect. I know he'd have had to queue behind his teammate, but that might have been the lesser of two evils in hindsight. Of course, hindsight is a great thing, but in that instance it may have cost Game Freaker here a chance at a really good result. And a confidence booster, if not really affecting the championship yet. Falcon then holds a 1.4 second lead over Tom. We've got Juice then and Powdy. Got Sam right up behind Tim Matz. These two went side by side for an entire lap earlier on in the Grand Prix. That was absolutely legendary side by side action. I've never seen two cars go side by side for so long. And if that's a taste of things to come, not just between us two, but the entire grid, it's going to be quite something to see. Free Gloves can get those hards to the end, I believe, but they're just not quick enough. He was right up there for the lead of a race, but now he's very much struggling. Bryn has crashed, I believe, in Sector 1, and we've got a safety car. Oh, that changes everything again. All of a sudden, Game Freaker's not looking in too bad of a position. And this is the opportunity here for Free Gloves to take a pit stop. So this really does turn this race around. Does anyone else opt to pit, I wonder? Now, is Fairylandо actually still driving? Because if he is, and he's on soft tyres, he'll be a big threat. Potentially. This is going to be a really exciting climax to this evening's race. And it's probably the last thing those with penalties want, because just shortening the gaps between everybody is only going to make having a penalty more effective come the end of a race. A quick recap on the penalty situation actually while we're doing it. So yeah, so Bando Biz has 13 seconds. He's definitely out of contention now for the win. Game Freaker has 8 seconds, although I think he served 5 of us under the safety not under safety car, under his pit stop. I could be wrong now. And Valken has 3 seconds. No, I don't think Lando's driving anymore, so... Yeah, so effectively we're down to 9 drivers here. Jonas and Lando have just been driven around by AI. So it is Valken who leads. And what's he going to do here? Does he opt to pit? Yes, he does. No, he doesn't. Wow, that was a late move. Juice and Powdy have opted to pit. So's Bandobiz, so's Timmat, so's Free Gloves. Free Gloves, unsurprisingly, but yeah, Valken, Tom, and Sam have opted for track position. And of course, Powdy, well, Free Gloves is going to get held up in the pits here. So he will ultimately lose out on some time, although he's effectively only going to drop to 9th, which isn't that bad. So that's the order then. Valken leads, Tom in 2nd, Sam in 3rd, Game Freaker, who pitted just before the safety car, in 4th. Powdy 5th, Timmat 6th, Juice in 7th. Effectively, Bandobiz in 8th, Free Gloves in 9th. And like I said, the rest are either controlled by AI or have DNF'd, unfortunately. We lost Rowan right at the start. Morgan, I believe, crashed out a bit later on or retired. Callum had a bizarre accident, to be honest, and Bryn had a few issues and ultimately either crashed out or called it a day. He was actually the one who brought out his safety car. So now we really have an interesting few laps ahead. The only thing that... Well, Jonas, despite being controlled by a ghost, or an AI, so to speak, is actually doing his teammate a favour here, or I say that, he's just lost a position to Bandobiz, but yeah. I don't know what's happening between Bandobiz and Jonas here, but yeah, he's trying to get in front of him. I don't think that's going to work. Or maybe it is. No, he's not able to get in front of him. I don't really know what's happening going on there, to be honest with you. I was going to say, Jonas actually provides a good rear buffer for Juice on the restart, because Bandobiz will not be able to get too close to him initially. Everyone's caught up to the safety car. This will be the final lap under the safety car, and then it's going to be a 5-lap dash to the end to find out who takes the pre-season win here. If this pre-season race is anything to go by, we're in for a super competitive tier here in F7. We've got so many quality races converging together for the top Sunday tier. But you'll be able to catch it every Sunday at 8 o'clock with myself. Like I said, next weekend is the turn of Australia for the season opener. And of course, be sure to check out the other leagues as well. We'll have F8 and F9 also running on Sunday next week at the earlier time of 7 PM UK time. And I'll be back in the commentary box tomorrow evening for PSGL F4 pre-season action from Interlagos. That'll be from 7 PM UK time. So plenty to look forward to, and there might be a few of the Monday tiers also doing pre-season races tomorrow as well, so keep an eye out for that. And of course it all gets underway properly on Tuesday for PSGL FP as they do the round 1 at Australia. That's really when things get properly underway, and I would always recommend tuning into FP because it is a fiercely competitive and fun league to do. So safety car should be peeling away any second now. Indeed it is. And it'll be up to Valken now to nail the safety car restart. An attempt to pull away with us on the soft tyres, potentially proving to be quite a threat in these last 5 laps. Valken, Tom and Sam went for track position. We're about to find out if it's paid off for them. He's leaving it a lot later than Game Freaker did earlier, but he's now stamped on the loud pedal, and we're back underway here at Bahrain. Sam's going to be the one immediately under pressure, I suspect. Game Freaker has got a pretty good run on the AlphaTauri here. He knows he wants to make the move as quickly as possible. Sam knows that too and goes defensive. Game Freaker's looking around the outside, and that's a great move from Game Freaker on the better tyres. He got the move done early. Juice and Tim Mats going side by side. Who managed to get one out of that one alive? It was Juice just in front in the end. And Powdy as well has got past Sam, so not the ideal restart for Sam at all. Game Freaker making that move stick and opening the opportunity up for Powdy to follow him through. So Game Freaker and Powdy very much leading the soft tyre charge towards the front, and already Game Freaker right on the back of Tom for second place. Of course, no DRS in operation for the first few laps, which is going to make overtaking a little bit more challenging. Bando Biz and Tim Mats going side by side further down the field. I'm going to just have a quick look at that. As you can see, the Red Bull and AlphaTauri going side by side. It's not the first time this evening. It definitely won't be the last. The AlphaTauri and Red Bull teams already seem to be forming somewhat of a rivalry as Tim Mats goes charging down the inside of Bando Biz. And look, Sam's right there as well now, as Sam continues to lose places on the restart. Free Gloves is now going to go charging down the inside of Bando Biz. There's a bit of wheel-to-wheel contact there, but he get away with it. Sam is going to have an absolute melee of cars behind him here. But further up, we've got Game Freaker. Look at this, we've got Game Freaker and Powdy on either side of the Renault, of the Haas driver. Game Freaker grabs second place. Tom holds on to third. Third behind, we've got Sam. And it looks like Tim Mats and Bando Biz going side by side. Sam somehow held on to sixth place. I don't know for how long though. What can Free Gloves do now? Free Gloves getting involved down the inside. Oh, there's a bit of contact and he has to back out. Look, what on earth is happening? Tim Mats around the outside of the AlphaTauri car. Is he going to be able to make that move stick? They're still alongside each other. This is a great overhead shot. You can see further in front Powdy trying his best to get in front of Tom, but just can't quite manage it at the moment. And this is giving a little bit of breathing space to Sam while these two continue to fight. Bump wheels. This is really incredible stuff. Tim Mats, I swear, has been side by side with an AlphaTauri for about 50% of this race. It's not done him too much good in terms of track position, but it's a lot of fun to watch as Sam picks up a penalty now, and Tim Mats looking very threatening. He's looking like he's going to want to go down the inside of Sam. Can't quite manage it. Oh, look at this. This is really incredible stuff. We should have DRS in operation either from, might be down this next straight, if my maths is correct. Yep, DRS enabled. Will they have it down this straight? I don't believe they will just yet. But Powdy has used whatever overtake he has to make a move on Tom, and Powdy up into third place. Nothing Tom can do. Those on older medium tyres are beginning to struggle. And I tell you what, with his lack of penalties, Powdy's in a good opportunity here to take the win. Game Freaker closing in on Valken. Juice not had his usual front running pace we used to see from him, certainly last season, but he's just still managing to be thereabouts, which will be very pleasing to him as Bando Biz goes past his teammate Sam. Oh, and there's contact! There's contact! Looks like Sam ran into the back of Tim Mats and has lost part of his front wing. Sam, oh my goodness me, they're still going 3 wide here. I would firmly back out of this if I was any of these drivers, but fair play to Tim Mats. He's gone right around the outside here and has got the position done. Free Gloves trying to come back against Sam. He knows that Sam will have front wing damage now, and he should be a sitting duck in theory. But he's managing to hold him off, to be fair. These lot of the front, these lot of the midfield absolutely going hell and leather for it, as Game Freaker is looking like he's going to take the lead here from Valken. There's not much Valken can do on those older tyres, and Game Freaker moves down the inside to take what is the lead right now, but with penalties taken into account, it could very much change come the end. Is that Sam still battling away? He's got full wing damage and he still isn't giving up on it. Fair play to Sam. He's free abreast here. This is surely not going to end well. Oh, Bando Biz has run wide. And that's given Tim Mats the space, and Sam's going to jump in front again. Free Gloves trying to stick his Alfa Romeo nose down the inside as well. He's going to stick with it. No, he's not. He's backed out in the end. Sam, incredible there. I've got to say, with the front wing damage he's got, to stay with these guys is absolutely incredible. And they're having such an incredible, insane battle for what is P6 on the road. They just don't want to give it up, either one of them. But it looks like Tim Mats has slightly pulled away now. And I have to say, Game Freak is not doing much pulling away out front. And these top 5 are really bunching up together. This is going to be an insane final lap here. Who's going to come out on top? Howdy's still in the box seat. And he's actually got a very nice run out the final corner. Falcon will have DRS himself, but Powdy's got such a good run. He's going to have such an opportunity to get up into second place. Does he want to go for it? No, because if anything, Falcon's coming back at Game Freaker. Under braking, Powdy runs a bit wide, tries to get a better exit, but it doesn't really work out too well. And the top 5 is as you were, as Sam and Free Gloves continue to almost knock 7 bells out of each other further down the road. My eye's going to be kept very much on this leading scrap though. Is any of these 5 going to make a decisive move on the final lap? Oh, Juice is looking to go around the outside. We saw him do this earlier, but Tom is having absolutely none of it. Doesn't allow him to have the space needed for him to get the power down as he would have liked. But Juice trying down the inside here. There's contact. Oh, and Juice managed to just hold the back end in check. But it would have been so easy for him to go around there. He went for it, fair play to him. But I think he may just have lost out on that one. And coming up now to the end of the final lap, Game Freaker will take the win on the track. But I think it's Powdy who's going to take the win when all is said and done, with the penalties taken into account. Round the final corner, the top 5 so close to each other. This is such an incredible end to the race. But Game Freaker's going to come up to the line, and he will take the win on track. But it will be Powdy across the line who takes the win. Tom is in second. Juice takes third. Falcon 4th. Tim Mats 5th. Game Freaker actually falls to 6th in the end. I'm guessing ultimately he didn't manage to serve that penalty. And it's Powdy who takes the win here in F7 pre-season. Didn't get a single win in F7 last season, but that's exactly the confidence boost he'd have been looking for coming into season 27. That's a great effort from Powdy. Tom AJ gets second. Juice takes third. And incredible battles up and down the field. And even though we didn't have too many drivers towards the end, the racing sure as hell made up for it. And congratulations to all the podium finishers. The game gave driver of the day to Tom. I've got to be honest, I can't disagree with the game on this occasion, and that's quite a rarity. I've got to give it to Tom as well. Did a great stint on hard tyres at the start. Sure, he got a bit of luck with that safety car coming out at the start, towards the end of his first stint, that ultimately put him into the lead, but I thought he drove a really solid race. And there may have been a few people questioning him being in F7 after how he did in F8 last season. Maybe not quite as strong as he would have hoped for, but that is a statement he sent out there, and an unlikely, I would say, a top 2. But Powdy takes the win. Tom second, Juice third. Falcon did a great job and in the end takes 4th. Tim Mats in 5th, Game Freaker 6th, Sam in 7th, Free Gloves in 8th, and Bando Biz was the last driver running in 9th. That was a really fun F7 race to commentate on, and I'm absolutely pumped for the season opener in Melbourne next week. I do hope you join me for that one. As you can see here, it's going to be a really unpredictable season. Congratulations to all the top 3, as I said, Powdy in particular for the win. Commiserations to Game Freaker, who unfortunately penalties cost him on the night tonight, but he did cross the line in first. But yeah, that's been about it for me, Jake. I really hope you've enjoyed the race this evening. It's been a lot of fun, and I can't wait to do it all again. Same time next week at Melbourne. This has been the PSGL YouTube channel, and until the next time, we'll catch you on the flip side.